Hello, people of Book Talk, BookTube, book community. Welcome back to my channel. What we're gonna do today is a January wrap up. We're just gonna talk about the books that I read in January 2024. So let's get into it. The first book I read is Say You Swear by Megan Brandy. Yay! I'm just gonna talk about the prose for a bit. It's a sports romance, just beware. It doesn't have that much sports in it. There's like another trope. I don't know if it's not a spoiler, there's sort of a love triangle going on, but it's kind of obvious, the triangle, but it's still a triangle. At least it didn't become a love square. You know, there's always pluses. I'm not a fan of love triangles like this. Because, well, first of all, who likes love triangles in their right mind? Unless the love triangle is good. This was super obvious, and I mean, like, why did you do it like that? Like, you know, it's like, okay, we love the Damon and Stefan love triangle, but imagine Tamlin and Rhys. I can't even call it a love triangle because it's not even a triangle. Like, it's so obvious who she's gonna pick, you know? So why make it a love triangle? Anyway, I rated it 4 stars. I actually could not get into it for a bit, and 4 stars is kind of like, I don't know, I was in between 3.5 and 4, but the ending was satisfactory. I quite enjoyed the romance between the main character and the guy she actually picked. It was quite interesting, but there was also a trope towards the end that infuriated me, and that basically tarnished. That's why it's not 5 stars. It's nowhere near 5 stars, but it's also not 3.5, so it's a 4. I would recommend it a lot, especially to people who like the romance trope, the sort of the life triangle. It's okay. It's not too bad. The next book I read is actually a book I actually devoured. I probably read it in like a day, if not less. And it's a book that I got actually in January, and I read it the next day. Check and Made by Ali Hazelwood. It's her debut YA novel. Am I being correct? I read Love Hypothesis, and I have on my shelf Love on the Brain and the Love Theoretically for like, I don't know, ages now, and I haven't gotten to it. You know how it is. Check and Mate. I rated it 4.5 stars, but I think it's actually quite high for, like, in my opinion, I actually really enjoyed it, but I don't get why people didn't enjoy it. I'm like confused. Maybe the majority of people say that Love Hypothesis is better. I like this way better than Love Hypothesis, even though back then I rated it 5 stars, I think. Maybe even not. 4 stars. I don't remember. I kind of hate Love Hypothesis, and I love it. Check and Mate, and it actually made me obsessed with chess. There's a lot of chess talk. Beware. There's a lot of chess talk, but I think I quite liked it. I don't know. I really liked it, and I don't know why people don't. I don't know any reason for people not to like this book. It's like, you know, I would call it a tale. It's a tale of a girl that's troubled, and a tale of a girl with a hard life who fell in love who fell back in love with a sport and a guy. Yeah, I really liked this book. It was pretty enjoyable, and I think people should read it, and I think people should like it more. The next book I read is The Love Wager. I rated it 4.5 stars, but to be honest, I don't remember most of this book. I just don't recall. I do not recall most of this book. I'm not gonna lie. It's just this romance novel that's just so... how do I say it in the right way? not repetitive, but the tropes and the things were so just common, maybe, and so regular. It didn't surprise me in a bit. Like, it did not surprise me at all, which is really weird because I know Sarah Curley, my favorite booktuber ever, she rated it 5 stars, and Sarah doesn't really give out 5 stars like that. And honestly, it was a really good book, but I would never rate it 5 stars because it was so predictable, so common. There was no originality whatsoever, and I actually really love Lynn Painter. I read Better Than the Movies, and I'm obsessed with that book, and that's a 5-star read. But this one, it just wasn't it. It just wasn't it. You know, it didn't get the 5-star feeling from it. Maybe I can't even say. Maybe I'm just complaining, but it wasn't even a 5-star feeling. And this next book, oh my god, it came so close to 5 stars. But something was just off for me. But from all of these romance books that I read this month, romance. So from all of the books before, this one probably deserves the 5 stars. But to me, it's a 4.5. Heartless by Elsie Silver. Oh my god, how I enjoyed this book. Oh my god, Daddy Kate. Legit, I read it in school, parts of it, and you know the parts that I'm talking about. You know, I'm never ashamed of reading smut, but here, I questioned my sanity. I questioned how can I read something like that in public. You know. And even though I don't know, people spoiled it for me, but I didn't really care because it's a romance, and spoiling romances is fine for me. Like, I'm not against spoilers, maybe only in fantasy. Fantasy spoilers annoy me, but romance spoilers, I kind of knew what was coming, kind of knew what was going to happen. The trope, I'm not going to say the trope because I don't like spoiling things to people. It's not our favorite TikTok. We don't like this trope. But it actually wasn't that bad here, so I can't complain. And, you know, I think this book ended quite well. And Willa, the girl, is probably going to be my favorite character from all of the series. And she's so sweet and so nice and so amazing. And I just love her. And I don't see a reason why you wouldn't too. And I don't see a reason why a person who likes romance wouldn't enjoy this book. Yeah, so that's on that one. Just placing books in order. And I don't know what hit me. I don't know what I did to read the next book. I don't know how I just lived and then decided, okay, this is going to be my next read. Why did I decide this? And why did I think it was a good idea? I don't know. But the book I read is If He Had Been With Me. Okay. I'm trying to collect my composure because I legit cried my eyes off. And there's a chapter 84. I don't want to show you the pages, but like the paper is still like not wet, but you know, like when books get wet, there's like stuff leaves on the paper. So basically I cried on the pages. Like, I cried. Literally, I was reading and crying on the page. Oh god, I'm gonna hyperventilate. I thought about this book for a long time after I finished, and unless you don't have a heart, you're gonna cry in this book. It's so unfair. I can't. Okay. And yeah, I don't want to talk too much about this book because, I mean, you kind of get the spoiler in the first chapter, but still I don't want to spoil it. But this book is a 5 stars, and I finished it and I stared at a wall for a good half an hour. You know, I finished it and I was like, what did I just read? I don't know. Yeah, and thanks to Sarah Caroli actually for recommending this to me. And I actually texted her and I was like, Sarah, this book killed me. I was like, you were not wrong, girl. This book is fucking gut-wrenching, and I'm sorry for the swear word. It was frigging gut-wrenching. Like, I died dead. R.I.P. me, you know? That kind of thing. And it was 5 stars, and it was actually a really good book. And it was a Sarah rec, so it kind of led me to my next book. And I kind of started a series, and I'm just gonna you probably know it because it's Sarah Caroli's probably favorite series ever. Ta-da-da! Magnolia Parks. I think a lot of my book friends waited for me to read this one because I think I'm the last person ever to read this series. And I really wanted to read it before the new book comes out, which I cannot wait for. People, I cannot wait for. And Jessa Hastings, just FYI, if you have a date for a new Daisy Hates book, just don't hesitate to DM me because I need it right now after the end of The Great Undoing. And yes, I finished the whole series in this month. But let's just not jump ahead of ourselves. Let's talk about the first book. Obviously, I rated it for 5 stars. It's a no-brainer. And people don't start anything with those covers. I actually like them. And if you don't, that's your thing, but I actually do, so yeah. The first book, Magnolia Parks, the dysfunctional relationship of BJ and Magnolia, which I love, which I breathe. Cut me and I'll bleed this book. You know, if you get it, if you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. Great design. Anyway, their dysfunctionality killed me and breathed life back into me, both at the same time, because you can't help but root for them and then not root for them. You know, sometimes you're like, I don't want them to be together, they're so bad for each other, and then you're like, I can't imagine a single universe with them not being together, you know? That's the kind of book. And there's a lot of in this book. There's just a lot to uncover, and there's a lot of spoilers, so I'm not gonna go deep into the plot. It's a toxic relationship, but I thought it was gonna be more toxic. I don't know, from what I heard people say, it's not that bad. It's definitely not that bad, not as bad as I thought it's gonna be, so chill. The next book I read is Daisy Hates, of course. I read Magnolia Parks and I was like, I'm gonna read it in a row. Even though I've been trying to savor my series and not just read through them like I'm doing with the Chestnut Spring series. But I was like, I don't care. So I read Daisy Hates and I gave it 5 stars. And FYI, I liked it better than Magnolia Parks. I'm sorry, Magnolia and BJ. I love this book more. The aesthetic, the way it's written, it's so magnificently beautiful. I could not love it more than Magnolia Parks. You know, you have Daisy chapters, and then there are like little thoughts that they're at the end of the page. You know, like I don't know what you call them. There's like a number, and then the number is at the her inner thoughts, like your Daisy Hates. And I love Magnolia and BJ, but I cannot say that I'm obsessed with Magnolia. But I am obsessed with Daisy Hates. I get her, I understand her, she's my person. You know, I'm pretty sure that if I met Daisy, we would be best friends. I would not stop until I was her best friend. And Daisy and Christian, I'm gonna start hyperventilating. I love them. I love them together so much. Oh, let's just not talk about it, okay? About them. And Julian, to all the Julian girlies, I'm sorry, I'm not like Julian. I am not a Julian fan, and I would pick Christian any day over Julian. Yeah, I'm not gonna go deep on that because I don't want to spoil anything. I'm just telling you that Julian girlies, I'm a Christian girly, and it's like BJ and Christian are on the same level, and there's yeah, even though BJ is dysfunctional, I still do like BJ more than Julian. But we're not gonna talk about it because I can't talk about it without giving a spoiler, so that's that. And of course I rated it 5 stars. I loved this book more than ever. Yeah. Moving on to the book that Sarah Curley said it would emotionally scar me. And it did. The Long Way Home, Magnolia Parks. It did emotionally scar me. It really did scar me. It really did scar me. I'm not gonna lie. It scarred me for life. The stuff. I was actually mad because the end was spoiled by TikTok. Thank you. I don't know how TikTok just knows when I'm reading a certain series, but the end was spoiled to me of the character, what happened to that character, you know? So yeah, the end was spoiled to me, so I wasn't surprised. But there was a twist that destroyed me. It was like in the start, you know? It destroyed me, basically. It was, for me, it was kind of sadder than the character. But I don't know, I love the character that happened, that was in the end. I don't know how to not spoil books. Anyway, we're not gonna talk about the end. It was so good. We finally got BJ and Magnolia. More of them. And actually, I love the healing of BJ, and I think he's becoming a very good person, whilst Magnolia can use some counseling. I'm not even gonna lie. I love them together, but I think I would not like Magnolia in person. She's just, I don't want to say a bitch because that would be way too rude, but I think she has to cut BJ some slack because she's also in the wrong here. You know, like, stop riding on your high horse, you know? But I still love this book. It's amazing. 5 stars. And yeah. Moving on to the last available book in the Magnolia Park series, The Greatest Undoing. And, unsurprisingly, my favorite book in the series. I will read anything that involves Daisy Hates. Anything. Like, if she writes, like, an art book, I will read it, right? Infinity. This is Infinity. I am so in love with this, and I hated Julian in the first book, but in this book, I actually quite softened to him. He may not be my favorite character, but I quite softened to him, and this is the book that I figured out that I'm in love with Christian Ems. And if God forbid Daisy dies in a horrible death and Christian is sad, I will be there. I will be there for him. You know. If you know, you know. And there's so much just happening in this book that my mind could barely process. I just need the other Daisy Hates book. Like, we can take a pause on Magnolia and BJ and just have another Daisy Hates book. I don't mind. I don't mind at all, you know? I'm just kidding. I actually need to finish with Magnolia and BJ because their story's kind of getting, not infuriating. I love those books. But, like, Jessa, like, dragging out, you know, I would just rather be finished than get a couple of Daisy Hates books, which is spectacular, and 5 stars, infinity stars. This whole series so far is a 5-star, and I don't think it's gonna be less than that with the next book and the upcoming books. And yeah, and sorry, I'm just like stacking my books. And the last book I read this month is When Lows Kill Die by, which author is it? Sorry, I don't remember. I need to check. Cynthia Murphy. And I don't know if it counts, but I'm gonna count it because why not? I listened to an audiobook of it and I rated 3.5 stars. And honestly, if I had this book in person, I think I would have DNF'd it. Because it actually is hard to get into, and like the first 25% of the book I was barely listening. Like, I listened, but I didn't know what was happening. I swear to God, I did not know the name of the main character until like 35% of listening into it. And it took me like a day to listen to it because I just kept listening, you know, and there was a moment of where, wow, okay, it started hitting and started spinning up, but I guessed the plot twist, because this is a thriller, right? I guessed the plot twist around 30% of the book. I knew it. I said, this is that person is doing it, which is crazy, which is a crazy plot twist. But there is a book with the same kind of plot twist that I already read, and I was like, I'm not jumping into this thing again. I know what's happening. I know what's going on. I already had that shock, you know, once but I know what's going on now because I kind of think it was pretty obvious that it was that character. It was so obvious. And this thriller is basically a YA thriller. And I think she wrote, what did she write? I don't know. It's basically a closed boarding school murder mystery, which is kind of like truly devious, I guess, but in a sense, not at all. But the same vibes. It's very dark academia, which I love because it rained the whole time while I've been listening to it, and I've been in a dark academia mood. So yeah, it was pretty great. I don't know why that's happening. It was pretty great. Honestly, I think if I didn't listen to it, I would have given it a 3 stars, maybe 2.5. Maybe I just would have DNF'd it. Nobody knows. But because of the listening experience was so good, I rated it 3.5 stars, and I actually quite loved it. Like liked it, maybe not loved it, because I felt like there should have been more to the ending. But maybe that's just me, I'm like ending obsessed person, like if the ending is not good enough, the book is kind of not ruined, but like it's getting less stars, especially in the thriller. It's kind of like anticlimactic, I guess. It was a bit anticlimactic, and I was like, I knew this was the person, but then I was like, okay, maybe I'm just crazy. I'm just insane like that, And then it was like, they were just pointing to that one person, and I was like, okay, maybe it is really her, but it makes no sense. But I was like, no, it should be this character. And if it's not, this book is not good at all. It's a twist I think people will not see coming, but I kind of saw it coming from like 10 miles away, I don't know. It was just the backstory of that character made it obvious for me. And yeah, I wish I could give a spoiler, and I wish I could spoil it because like it's such a silly book in my opinion. Like I actually really liked it, but it's like silly because it's so obvious. The way she makes it so obvious yet not so obvious is kind of crazy. And yeah, I'm gonna stop talking before I spoil it. And to sum up, I've read 10 books this month, which is really good because this year we're actually gonna hit our goal, because last year we didn't. Last year we were supposed to read 100 books and we read only 82, I think. 82, right? So yeah, but with the help of audiobooks, maybe we can actually do it this year, because if I'm not reading, I can be listening, which is our new mantra, people. And oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. This is a ginormous stack of the books we read, so you can congratulate me. I'm just gonna keep it here. And I actually really miss sitting down and talking to you guys, and it has been fun. It's been a fun video, and I really hope we can keep it up this year, and this year is gonna take it easier on us than last year. Yeah. Anyway, love you. Thank you guys.